Cheers, big ears, and welcome to the Beach Travel Wine Podcast. We are your hosts, Leanne.
And I'm Lyle.
And we are not your usual travel influencers. No, we've decided we want to be travellers that travel under the influence. Okay, good joke?
Reasonable.
Well, there's plenty more where that come from. So join us as we travel the world, one wine at a time. Hola, and welcome back to the Beach Travel Wine Podcast. Hi, honey.
Buenos dias, Leonita.
I'm really happy today. Do you know why?
No.
Well,
Tell
because
me.
we're talking about one of the most glamorous cities in Spain.
Sí.
Marbella.
Marbella.
Which has
Marbella.
one of our favourite day trips.
Sure.
Do you know, we say that, I was listening to some episodes and we say that every time. One of our favourite, one of the best. We're very repetitive, but we're enthusiastic, right?
Yes.
Yes, right.
Yes. We've got a great attitude.
So Marbella, or Marbella as people say, but us, Spanish speakers, Marbella. Can you tell us a bit about it and history and where it is and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, sure. It's got a population of about 142,000.
So it's not one of the biggest cities.
No, it's not. And the old city's quite small. Mm-hmm. The city resort area Marbella is a city resort area on the southern Spain's Costa del Sol, part of Andalusia.
Yeah.
It's the backdrop. It's got the Sierra Blanca mountains, and it's got about 27k of sandy Mediterranean beaches, villas, hotels and golf courses.
Yes, it's very glamorous, isn't it?
West of the Marbella town, the Golden Mile of prestigious nightclubs and coastal estates leads to the Puerto Banus marina, filled with luxury lots and surrounded by upmarket shops and bars. And that is no exaggeration.
Sure, yeah. Well, we'll talk about our trip to Puerto Banus in a little while.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, the history
Yes,
of Marbella. Look, it's got all the normal Spanish history, initially the Phoenicians, then the Romans, then Islamic rule. But in 1485, the town passed into the hands of the Crown of Castile. The Plaza de los Neranjos was built along the lines of Castilian urban design about this time. Sugar cane was introduced to the Marbella in 1644, resulting in construction of numerous sugar mills. Now, back in the day, sugar was like gold.
Yeah,
so
they traded that pretty heavily, didn't they?
Yeah, so the first hotels was built El Comercial in 1918. El Comercial, yeah, in 1918, and the Miramar in 1926.
Right.
Nationalist forces seized Marbella during the first months of the war, and that's the Civil War, and became a haven for prominent Nazis. So Richard Soriano, Marquis of Ivani, moved to Marbella and popularised it amongst his rich and famous friends. In 1943, he built a resort, Venta y Albergues El Rodeo, beginning the development of tourism in Marbella. Okay, now.
Yes.
Serrano's nephew, you're not going to believe it, Prince Alfonso,
really?
Another Alfonso, opened the Marbella Club in 1954, an international resort aimed at movie stars, business executives and nobility. So, the big thing that I got out of the history side of it is that I think there may have been a bit of graft and corruption because the guy that actually built the Puerto Banus, Jose, was a good, very, very close friend of Franco's.
Oh, okay.
So, look, right from the very start, Marbella was aimed at the rich, the famous,
the beautiful,
nobility. And the
glamorous.
Yeah, and
it's carried on that though, hasn't
sure,
it?
and it is what it is, So the little the old town. I'll let you describe it because that's your thing. It was stunning.
We had an apartment just around the corner from the Plaza de Neranjos, which, someone told me that was the most beautiful plaza in Marbella. And it really is it's one of those plazas that still has has cobblestones and all the little restaurants and cafes opening onto it and the orange trees. But to make it look a little bit more spectacular, all the cafes have bright orange.
Yeah, I remember.
Umbrellas, but that's not why it's called the Plaza de Neranjos. It's because it was oranges. That's what.
Yeah, the orange trees.
Yeah. So you can't not go to Marbella and check out that plaza. And we were, maybe 50 to 100 metres from that. So we spent a bit of time eating in that plaza. But around the old town, you're right, the old town isn't big, but yeah, it's like a little white village as well, isn't it? It's got the buildings are white. There's pretty patios. Some of the streets, there's no cars in the old town. You can't drive in.
No.
I remember when the taxi dropped us off. I don't know if you remember, but he said you basically have to walk up there and round the corner and in and out. And
that's how I do remember.
Yeah. So that makes it really nice. I like those old towns where you can't drive. Because it's just lovely walking around. So, there's the balconies with the plants and the shops with the beautiful sort of doorways and the displays and, the clothes and the stuff that come out onto the streets. You can wander around just looking at those shops for so long. It was
and
really,
there's bougainvillea everywhere.
So beautiful, right? And then, around another corner there's another sort of plaza area which is where a lot of people eat, it's a bit like the tapas area, isn't it?
Sure.
That street. And that's where there's like the flamenco shows and things like that. So that's much more the night.
Yeah, that was. Remember, we were going to go to the flamenco show.
It was just a bit late for us, wasn't it?
But it didn't start till about 11 o'clock. So it was about €25, I think, each. So that wasn't cheap. But in saying that in that same plaza, which was really dominated by tapas and remember, you could get 6 tapas for €10.
Sure, yeah. And we did that a few nights. But,
so as much as it is really promoted for the rich and famous, you can still get really reasonably priced food. Yeah. And even on the beach side, there's so many of those the cafes there, promoting full English breakfast for €5.
Yeah, there was because there's a lot of English tourists as well, wasn't there? And the other thing that was interesting about that Plaza de Neranjos is we were sitting there one day in a cafe and the whole cafe was full, right? And there's a girl in a long flowing dress, and she's got her poor partner. He's trying to take photos of her and she's instructing him, and so she's holding the dress out and then he's taking the photo and she's going back over and basically getting up him. She was not happy.
She was doing a critique of his photography,
and he's getting shittier and shittier every time. And we're not talking 1, 2, or 3. I reckon he got up to about 30 photos.
Sure.
That he'd taken, and honestly, she was just standing in the same spot. She wasn't doing anything different, and I don't know what he was stuffing up, but it was. And I
think it was probably the first time I had experienced an influencer.
Yeah, trying to get the photo. Anyway, once the last photo was taken, and he went to put the camera away. The whole cafe restaurant area, we all broke into applause.
Yeah.
Oh, they must have been so embarrassed. It was hilarious.
Yeah. But no one was really in the cafe were sort of letting on that they were watching them.
No.
It was just incidental that everybody in that cafe was watching them.
So long, and
and the poor bugger, he copped plenty.
Yeah, so that was So Marbella is a beautiful old town, and that Plaza de Neranjos and the tapas area is all very close. And if you stay anywhere in that old town, you'll be close to that.
My word for the old town is pretty.
Oh, okay. It sure is pretty. Yeah, quaint, pretty. Yeah, it's one of the prettier ones, that's for sure.
It oozes like the rich and famous, though, doesn't it?
Sure, yes, it does. Do you remember, though, before we move on, we went to a restaurant, for your birthday. We were there for your birthday, and we went and we were the only ones there, but that was a nice, they've got those courtyard areas on a lot of the restaurants. Well, another day we went to a restaurant, and I'm trying to think what it was called. El Patio de Mariscal, and it was a seafood restaurant. and you could go sit in the restaurant, and you could walk through it, and which we did. So they've got the enclosed patio at the back. Now the patios are got that white walls, they've got the blue trim, they've got plants and tables and trees out there. It was really beautiful. And we're sitting there having our dinner, and the waitress burst into song.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then the
opera, you know.
Yeah, and then the
chef.
chef.
Or was it the maitre d'?
No, the maitre d' came out.
Yeah. So there was a lady sang first, and then the guy.
And then a chef came out.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So that was pretty.
And they were performing. And it was
operatic.
It was fabulous.
Yeah. So the reason I remembered to bring that up is because if you go to our Instagram at Beach Travel Wine and go across to Marbella and watch there's a few videos there, and one of them is, you know, when you're eating dinner and, you know, the waitress starts to sing, you know, there's a couple of songs they do. So, yeah, it's worth going to have a look at that. That was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think if I remember correctly, that particular day we had a big day. We had a play day.
Yeah, we had a big day. We were tired.
We were tired and emotional, and we'd had probably more to drink than we should have. And we were very enthusiastic
in
relation to the opera singers.
So it's an easy walk from the old town down to the beach of Marbella, the main sort of beach area there. But to get to the beach, it's a really beautiful walk, isn't it? So you first have to, you know, get out of the old town, cross the main road, and then you end up in this beautiful park, which is on the the Paseo de la Alameda, which is takes you into Alameda Park.
Yeah.
And this is it's a very shady park. It's got very tropical, lush gardens and a lot of ceramic tiles and on the paseos and beautiful furniture, chairs, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's marble paved walkways, fountains and benches.
Yes, fountains, always benches, my favourite.
Clad with
park benches, always Lyle's favourite.
Clad with classic Andalusian hand-painted tiles.
Beautiful.
It actually reminded me of remember that walk we went on in Cadiz?
See.
Along the Atlantic, along that
yes, it's a bit
promenade.
like that, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it's not a big park, but it's very lush, and you know they've got some modern statues in there. And once again, I've got some nice photos of that at our website in the blog show notes and blog post that goes with this at beachtravelwine.com. But I did do some videos of that as well in the story highlights. Now, if you keep going through the park, which eventually we did, we went down the Avenida del Mar, which joins the Alameda Park to the beach. And from the park to the beach, down the Avenida del Mar, what's there, Don?
It's lined with a whole bunch of sculptures by Salvador Dali.
Yeah, well, obviously not originals, but they're pretty good remakes.
Well, I don't know what they are.
No, they're not. I did find out, but they're amazing, aren't they?
It was brilliant.
Yeah, I've got some really good pictures of those. So you know, Dali's artwork was quite out there, quite different, and these statues are quite big. And you know they don't mind kids climbing on them and stuff. You know, it's almost like a playground of Dali sculptures, isn't it?
Sure.
Yeah. And the day I got some footage of that, we were the only ones there. It wasn't even that early. It was about 9 a.m. in the morning, and that's one of my favourite things about Spain. You know, you go out early and you have the place to yourself, so you can wander around these amazing sculptures and walk down the Avenida del Mar, past the Dali sculptures down to the beach area.
Yeah, to Playa de la Venus.
De la Venus.
Venus, yes.
Okay. I didn't know that was the name of the beach. We didn't spend a lot of time at the beach because we did some day trips that we're going to talk about in a minute. But the beaches are obviously, you know, being a glamorous beachside place, you know, there's the cafes, you know, and the bars right on the beach, and you've got, of course, the umbrellas, the thatched umbrellas and the beach chairs, and it's one of those places a bit like Burriana Beach in Neranjos, where you just go up to the bar, you know, grab yourself a drink, trot back down to your chair and We were there in September, so the main holiday period had finished. So it was not busy at all. You know, there was plenty.
Well, some of the places had actually closed up.
They were starting to close up their umbrellas and that sort of thing, weren't they?
Yeah, like permanently for the off season.
Yeah. So what was the name of that beach again, Dom?
Playa de la Venus.
Okay, yeah. And so we obviously spent a bit of time down there at the beach, but what we did do this one day is we walked along the beach to what we were talking about earlier is Puerto Banus. See?
Yeah, well, the full name's Puerto Banus.
So it's about a 7-kilometre walk along the beachfront, and when you walk along that beachfront there, once again, there's cafes and bars, and that's where we saw the €5 breakfast and those sort of signs along that walkway there. Some of those places were starting to close up, and this was sort of mid-September, so that's something to keep in mind. There's a couple of things along that walkway that were really amazing, and that is some of the resorts that you could see, but also some of the huge houses, which I'll get you to tell us about in a minute. One of my favourite things, though, was the sandcastles. I thought they were really beautiful. There's a beach called Playa El Rosario, and they do a sandcastle competition there every year. And I think they must mix a little bit of cement with the sand, because some of them looked so sturdy, didn't they?
Yeah,
there was huge castles, and once again,
amazing detail.
Yeah, I've got some really gorgeous pictures of those sandcastles along the beach. So, but yeah, you can. It's a very I keep saying glamorous, but you know, some places you walk along in Spain and it's just very nowhere near the money that you can see in these places that are on the beach, some of these houses. So where did they come from?
Well, it was opened in May 1970 by Jose Banus, a local property developer, as a luxury marina and shopping complex. It's basically known as the playground for the rich and famous. The marina berths 950 boats, and to give you an idea of the clientele, the King of Saudi Arabia and several of the world's wealthiest individuals keep their yachts there.
Yes.
So
we walked down there and we found a little cafe. It was actually called Cafe Jack's or Pirate Jack's or something like that.
I can't believe you remember that.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know, I couldn't even tell you what sort of cars they were, but they were all sporty.
Oh no, the red Ferraris were out the front.
Out the front, and we walked around the marina, and you know, we were choosing which boat we might like to, you know, to take, and we were like, oh my, we've got to have a drink here in you know, in this gorgeous little place and in Puerto Banus. And we're expecting to pay big bucks, you know, but Captain Jack's, I think it was called. We sat and had like a burger and chips and some beer and a couple of beers.
It was €20.
Yeah, it wasn't expensive at all.
It wasn't expensive
but
at all.
But it was, it certainly wasn't your stubby and thongs sort of crowd, was it?
Oh no, they had, like, the girls, there was jewellery and gold dripping off them.
It was glamorous,
and all
wasn't
the
it?
cars were, like, I think the cheapest probably would have been a Maserati. Like, the crazy part about it, there's an Antonio Banderas Square.
There's a Rafa too. There's Nadal.
Really?
Street somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember. But it's just it's not trying to be something that it's not. I mean, it's
got all the you know, the Gucci's and the Pradas.
Yeah,
and
Christian Dior, the Versace's. It's all there, but it was
pretty glamorous.
It was very glamorous, but it's not pretending to be something that it's not. Like, it's unbelievable.
It's also a big area for golfers.
Yeah, there's 32 golf courses within 30 minutes of Marbella.
Yeah.
We're not golfers, but when we, we'll talk about later, when we went up to Ronda, you drive up the mountain and you're just going past one golf course after another, and you've got all the mansions A lot of them from Middle Eastern countries, like the sheiks.
That's what I was saying before about the mansions and
Yeah,
things.
well, yeah, that's right. Along when you walk along, you can't see anything because
you can see some roofs, but you know they're big houses, and you can see some big trees and stuff. It's certainly, and the cameras are watching you. They can probably see more of you than you can of them.
Yeah.
Is there anything else about Puerto Banus that? It was a 7-kilometre walk, is what I can say, which meant we had to turn around and walk 7 kilometres back. So we did sample a few of the bars on the way.
Yeah, well, only because, we felt that we needed to because of the podcast.
Yeah. But so, as you were saying, that place was opened, or built, basically, in 1970.
Yeah, and this is the guy that was a close friend of Franco's.
Right,
so I think there might have been a little bit,
A little bit of money chasing.
Yeah, changing hands.
But certainly,
it also has a 3.6 tonne sculpture of a rhinoceros by Salvador Dali.
Oh, down there. I don't remember seeing that one.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Was it like near the marina? Or
it's right near the marina.
Oh, we walked past it on the way.
Good. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
And there's it's a really nice little walk. Like you go along the beach and then you have to come in a little bit over canals and little bridges and so that's definitely, if you're going to be in Marbella, take, you probably hire bikes. It'd probably be easier if you don't like walking like we do. Or you can actually walk down and there's a water taxi back. Or a bus back, so you don't have to go both ways. So and go and have a drink and sit there and pretend your Maserati's out the front, and we're going to hop on a yacht and take off from Puerto Banus. Marbella is in a great spot for a few day trips, which we did do. But one of the ones we did, which was really nice, was with some friends that we made. And I actually made contact with Janet through Instagram, following her sort of because she's married to Michael, who's an Aussie, and she's English, and they live in Marbella. So, I was asking questions, and they said, well, when you come, why don't you come and catch up with us? And which we did. So we walked down from where we were staying into the Alameda Park, where we met them, and they picked us up in their car. And we drove about 15 minutes sort of inland from the beach to a hike that they took. It wasn't a long hike, but it was to La Concha Lookout, and that's in the Sierra Blanca mountains. So it's sort of you're up quite high. I should have looked at how high you were, actually. I can't remember, but you're up so high that you can basically see all of Marbella and a fair bit of the coast from the Sierra Blanca up there, aren't you?
Yeah, it's 1,200 metres.
Oh, good on you. There you go.
Now, I could be talking out my arse and just bluffing my way.
You could,
but
because
I did. I had it. It's definitely 1,200 metres.
Okay, I wish I could have got a photo of this. The look on Lyle's face when he, pulled that figure out, he just thinks he's so clever.
What can I say?
1,200 metres. Well done. So we walked up, Janet and I sort of walked up together, and the boys followed. They're a lovely couple and very funny.
Michael's hilarious. I really enjoyed their company.
So we did that, which was lovely. And then we decided from there you could also see a white village, a hillside white village in the Sierra Blanca called Ojen, Ojen.
Can I just interrupt just for a sec? As you said, we walked up that 1,200 metres, not 1,200 metres.
We'd driven up.
But we parked the car and then we went up.
Yeah.
Do you remember there was only 2 other people up there?
I do remember that.
And they were Western Australian.
They were from Perth, yeah.
Yeah, so we're in, Marbella in Costa del Sol. In a lookout
1,200 metres above sea level in the Sierra Blanca.
And there's only 2 other people there and they're Aussies. So
yeah, they're from Perth. Yeah, that was funny. So as I said, you can see like this beautiful little white village. Again, I've got some really nice photos of that and the views from La Concha Lookout. And the town is called Ojen, and we drove there to have lunch. Do you remember the drive?
Sure. You were absolutely shitting yourself.
No, well, I wasn't scared. I was just I was anxious because the streets narrowed, and we had to put in the side mirrors, didn't we?
Sure. And in fact, one road we went down, Michael had to reverse back out because we couldn't, and they only had a little car.
Yeah, Janet was driving.
Was it Janet? Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, they had to reverse out because we couldn't get through that.
Because there was someone else there, like a little truck or something. Yeah.
But it was.
They weren't phased.
No,
they know what they're doing. Like they were amazing. But I'm just like, I can just imagine. Like you've got the alleyway narrowing. And you keep driving, and all of a sudden your car gets, like wedged in.
Jammed, yeah.
And we just like, you can't open your doors or anything. That was the image I had in my head. There's no sunroof to get out or, anyway. But we made it to where we were going after that fun.
Sure,
trip.
and we went to, it was a Palacio.
Yeah, it was the Hotel Mondo.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
But that was an old palace, wasn't it?
It used to be a castle, sure. Yeah. So we had a wonderful lunch there. So it was worth the not the trouble, but the
pizza,
trauma.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was a really nice pizza.
We had pizza, yeah, and I think there was we had like an antipasto plate as well, if I remember properly, and obviously a beer or a wine to go with that. And that was just a wonderful day. We
would never have gone but for Michael and
Janet. Yeah, it was so nice. And every time we mentioned about going back, they say, come and see us. And unfortunately, we didn't get to see them our last trip because they weren't in Spain. But
they were in France, minding dogs.
Yeah, they do a lot of that dog sitting stuff. So, if you're listening, Janet and Michael, thanks so much for that fun day. And
we went out for dinner that night.
With them?
Yeah.
Yes, we did. They took us to one of the really authentic tapas bars in the old town, didn't they? Yeah, that's
beautiful.
Right. It was really nice. We did too, and that was sort of down a side street, and you couldn't even really pass someone in that alleyway because it was so narrow.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes, that was really nice. So thanks, guys. We really enjoyed our day in the Sierra Blanca with you and having lunch and dinner. So we must have been all right because they invited us out for dinner as well. Yeah. Now we come to another day trip that we took from Marbella, and we actually took a bus.
Yep.
And which the bus station isn't that far from the old town, so we wandered up there and bought some tickets and hopped on a bus to
Ronda.
To Ronda, spelt without a H.
Ronda. It's got a population of 34,000.
It's about an hour, isn't it?
Hour and 10 on the bus, and it goes 3 times a day.
So most people who know anything about this area of Spain have heard of Ronda, and the most famous thing in Ronda is the Puente Nuevo, which is the famous bridge over the Tajo de Ronda, the gorge. But that hasn't always been there, and the reason it's called the Puente Nuevo, which means the new bridge, is because they had to replace one, didn't they?
They did. Ronda's a mountaintop city in Spain's Malaga province, 740 metres above sea level, that is set above a very deep gorge. The gorge is the El Tajo. Mm-hmm. It separates the city's 15th century new town from its old town dating back to Moorish rule.
And I have to say, what did you say, 740 metres?
Sure. That's the town.
Yeah, so literally we were at sea level and we went 740 metres, as Lyle was saying before, past golf courses and things, but it was like the bus trip we went in Picos de Europa National Park. It was winding. It was steep. Sure. I hated every minute of it.
Yeah, well, the Puente Nuevo, the stone bridge spans the gorge.
It's not wide though, and it's just high.
Oh, it's 68 metres wide, the gorge, and it's 120 metres high.
Mm-hmm. Just think about that, 120 metres high. Yeah, that's pretty damn high.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's very dramatic.
Yeah. And once again, there are really fabulous pictures on our website at beachtravelwine.com, and obviously videos on our Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, as Leanne said, the first bridge was completed in 1735. Unfortunately, it collapsed only 6 years later, killing about 50 people. So the current bridge was completed in 1793 and it was started in 1751. So that's the current bridge. And look, the thing about Ronda is it is very, very popular tourist destination. So there was people everywhere.
Well, when we got there, the bus station, obviously, you walk down from the bus station sort of along one edge of the gorge, I guess, and you go past the Tourist Information Centre and a big statue of a matador, which is outside the bull ring.
Yeah, the Plaza de Toros, which was built in the 18th century. And Ronda's actually best known for being the birthplace of bullfighting.
Right.
Which was a bit weird because...
18th century, it must have been. They must have had an older bull ring than that because...
Maybe, but, to be honest, bullfighting, I've done a little bit of Googling.
Yeah.
That, basically...
It's called research. Say research, that's much more.
Research, yeah, okay. It really did first present itself in Rome in the gladiators. So.
But you can go into that bull ring. They do tours of it.
Sure.
And, that's very popular. And then there's like a park area, that you can walk around with paving and trees and stuff, and you can look down into the gorge and you sort of walk around that and you're like, okay, where are we? And the next thing you know, you turn the corner and there is the bridge, so the Puente Nuevo, this amazing, iconic, symbolic bridge that if you Google Ronda, this is what comes up first, and yeah, it doesn't take your breath away, but it's stunning, and it's and the one side, this or both sides is this sheer cliff, and these old buildings on each side, and this bridge going across, and it's still obviously people drive across it. You can walk across it as well. So it's a very useful bridge. It's not the only bridge though in Ronda. There's two others. One is something Phillip Bridge, I think, and then there's one further down. So they must have built others just so they didn't rely on one, I guess.
Sure.
And I've got a nice picture from one bridge down to the other. So yeah, I was rather impressed with Puente Nuevo.
So do you know what other countries have bullfighting?
I would say Portugal.
Yes.
Portugal, maybe Uruguay.
Ooh, no.
No. What?
Stop reading my notes.
What is it?
Spans. Spain, France. Spans is a combination of Spain and France.
That's the people on the border.
Okay, Spain, France, Portugal, Mexico, Colombia, Venezuela, Peru, and Ecuador.
Ecuador, see, I knew it was close.
Yeah. You must have just misread that one.
No, you did read them to me earlier, and I was trying to remember that. Yeah, so back to Ronda. So the side that you arrive on is with the side of the bull ring if you're at the bus station, and there's sort of a Plaza area there, isn't there, that we had a look at before we went back to the bus station. But the lovely big shopping streets, they had all these lanterns hanging down, in all the colours of the rainbow, just very, very glamorous streets as well, obviously attracting the tourists. So got a lovely video and photos of that, which is very impressive when you're looking down this big wide cobblestone street, and the ceiling is just all these beautiful sort of Chinese coloured lanterns. So they're really nice. So, and then of course we cross over the Tajo de Ronda across the Puente Nuevo. So we go across the bridge, across the gorge, and we have a wander around on the other side, and that's where we found somewhere to have lunch, didn't we?
Yeah, but did we have lunch first, or did we go to...
Oh, we went to the Casa del Moro.
Sí. La Casa del Rey Moro.
And so that's obviously the house of the King of Moro.
Yeah, so the palace was built by the Moors in the 14th century, who installed an ingenious water pumping system. The main water system ran all the way down the gully to the Guadalquivir River.
Now, we were at the top of this Casa del Morro in the garden, because you can walk around the gardens, which is really lovely, which is, once again, right on the edge of the gorge. But you can actually go down a staircase through a tunnel all the way down,
236 steps.
Right.
I counted them.
And as we said, the bridge is something 100 and something metres high, so, that's about as deep as the gorge is. And I was not going down there, but Lyle did, and he took over the filming took my phone down and did the filming.
Yes, I became part of the production team.
At the bottom of the gorge, and you did a really good job, so that's worth having a look in our story highlights as well. But
yeah, I don't know what, they say an ingenious water pumping system, but when you read the information on this staircase, this stairwell, which was actually very, very small.
Yes.
So they must have been very, very big people. Part of the deal is that you actually see, because the Moors had Christian slaves that used to bring the water up from the river up that staircase daily.
Yes.
So is that the ingenious water system?
Well, they didn't have to do it.
Well,
but didn't they?
Yeah,
there was crosses carved into.
Oh you actually see the Christian crosses that supposedly. I mean, anybody could have done it, but the story goes, the legend goes that they were made by the Christian slaves.
So it's pretty impressive being able to walk across the bridge, go into the royal sort of gardens area, and then go down this, narrow, windy staircase all the way to the bottom of the gorge and see all this stuff, And I don't think a lot of people that go to Ronda actually know you can do that.
Yeah, well, the La Casa del Rey Moro Gardens, or what, Jardines, because Leanne has a go at me about saying sometimes my Spanish pronunciation. Now, do you know who they were designed by?
Pronunciation? No.
They were designed by Jean-Claude Forestier.
Oh, yeah.
And
that was my next guess.
Yeah, and he also designed the Maria Luisa Park in Seville. That's one of your favourite parks in Spain.
Well, it is, because it's close to the Plaza de España. My favourite park in Spain, Zaragoza or Retiro Park in Madrid, but Maria Luisa Park was very nice indeed. Okay, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, so nice. It's terrace gardens with canals and fountains. That's the garden.
And what this garden's got that the others haven't is views to die for. Because you're up on the edge of the gorge there.
Oh, look, it is. It's what's the word to describe it? Awesome.
Yeah, awesome.
That's not the right word.
Well, it's just it's something that you don't ever see very often.
It's a natural,
unique, isn't it?
Unique, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we finished that. Lyle was a bit puffed, so he needed a cold drink, didn't you, darling? So yeah. So we needed to find somewhere for Lyle to have cold cerveza, and
you didn't have one?
I was going to say, and I decided I would join him.
You weren't going to let me drink alone, were you? What a girl!
What a girl! Hey, what do you say? Hurly burly, what a girly!
Yeah.
Oh dear!
I don't know how that go with
esposa. Esposa. So on the other side of the gorge, which that we're talking about, is the cathedral with a really beautiful bell tower.
Yeah, that's right. That's the Iglesia de Santa Maria la Mejor.
La Mejor.
Yeah, and that's located in Ronda's Town Hall Square.
Yeah.
And where we had lunch was the Plaza de Cuesa de Pasen.
At the Café Mondragon.
You're unbelievable.
Am I?
I thought I was good just getting the plaza.
I don't know, I remember that. But there's a beautiful little garden in the square, and the bell tower on this cathedral is one of the most beautiful. It's not the highest or anything, but it's quite intricate, the decoration around it. And it's certainly, once again, I've got pictures of that, and I love that. And there was a guy playing acoustic guitar.
Yeah, Spanish guitar.
Spanish guitar, yeah. And
it was just a beautiful day. It was beautiful weather. It wasn't too hot. And he's sitting under, I assume, orange trees or whatever it is. and we're having lunch, and the music was spectacular.
Yeah. So we're underneath the bell tower, you know, on the terrace, you know, in the square. So it was beautiful, and that part of town wasn't so busy.
No, it wasn't at all.
Not that it was that far, probably a couple of 100 metres from the bridge, but so you definitely just need to just go a little bit further in Ronda to get away from the crowds, because the busloads of tourists come in. Or I guess it's a good day trip from lots of the places on the coast on the Costa del Sol. So
you could get there from Seville, Granada.
So it's all those
places.
Exactly. And there was quite a lot of buses coming in when we were there. We had a really nice lunch at the Café Mondragon there, and so then it was time, unfortunately, to head home. But we decided that. Or not decided, we thought that it'd be a really nice spot to spend a night if you had a chance in Ronda, because, at the end of the day when the tourists go, and the lights come on and, that the gorge lit up and everything would just be amazing. And there's a parador, isn't there?
Yes, there's Parador de Ronda.
Yeah.
I had a look on booking.com. It's €180 a night.
Okay. Which isn't cheap.
Well, that's... 270 Australian.
Is it on the cliff?
It's 10 minutes on foot from the old town.
Right.
It's got breathtaking views.
Okay, so it
of the gorge.
Yes.
And Puente Nuevo. It's got a swimming pool, breakfast is included, and it's got an underground parking.
Yeah. Well,
look, to be honest, it looked pretty flash.
Yeah.
And I reckon if we went back,
we'd go there.
I don't think you'd let me not go there.
Yeah, I just think it'd be lovely to
see it at night.
Yeah.
I said to Leanne, they wouldn't have it lit up at night, and she just looked at me like I had two heads. Lyle, don't be ridiculous. And if they did, which they more than likely would, it would be unbelievable.
Well, every other Spanish city we've been to, which is
lights up
well over
monuments.
40, everything's lit up. We haven't been to one yet that hasn't. So,
if that was the case, it'd be. Yeah, it's pretty awesome, the whole thing.
So after lunch, we had to head back, as I said, and Lyle decided there was a walkway that said, bottom of the gorge here, for better photos. It was like a track down this time. And, as you can see in the video that I put on Instagram, I wasn't real happy about that. But we didn't have to go the kilometre walk. We got about halfway, and there was a really good vantage point to look back from sort of halfway down back towards the
bridge,
Puente Nuevo bridge, which was a really fabulous vantage spot to get fabulous photos of the bridge and the gorge.
Yeah, you got some really good photos,
and the buildings right on the edge of the gorge as well. So after that, we headed back up, ready to catch our bus back, and we came across this little tapas bar. Do you remember this place?
No, we stopped. Before we went there, we actually went and we found a little bar because we were really quite thirsty. The Plaza del Socorro, and that was really nice. That was a square surrounded by bars, restaurants, and terraces. Beautiful view of the Nuestra Senora del Socorro church.
And that's not far from where that shopping street I was talking about with all the beautiful...
exactly. But that was nice. And you're sort of sitting there having a drink and you're looking at the church there. It's beautiful. But
and it wasn't too busy there either.
Yeah, I think, a day trip, short, look, absolutely. But as Leanne said, I think it would have been nicer to stay overnight and just to probably take a little bit more time. But then, when we got back to the bus station...
Well, before we got back to the bus station...
Yeah.
Can I tell us something?
Sure.
There was another bar that we stopped at because we were a bit early.
That's what I was just about to say.
Oh, okay. And it was the cheapest, the yummiest tapas that we'd had, in weeks and weeks. Like, it was amazing food.
And the wine was, I think the wine was
so cheap.
$1, like €1.80.
Yeah.
And I think it was the cheapest wine we had in
Spain.
In Spain, it was $1.80, and it was a Verdejo, Rueda Verdejo, and it was beautiful.
Yeah, and the food was really nice.
And the food was great.
Yeah.
But we only called in there because we were too early for the bus. So.
Yeah, which is unlike me to be early for transport, isn't it? You're welcome.
Oh, it didn't bother me. I just meant I could sneak another glass of vino in.
And I had to build up my courage for the trip down there. Although
True.
this time I knew which side of the bus not to sit on, and generally going down's never not as bad. So we ended up back down in Marbella at the bus station and headed back to our gorgeous apartment very close to the Plaza de Neranjos, and we finished our week in Marbella very happy and just loved everything about it.
Yeah.
You know, it's, as I said, it's glamorous. It does have some history, but you know, the little towns you can go to, day trips are beautiful. The walk past the Dali sculptures to the beach and the sandcastles and the restaurants and the bars, and you know, like Marbella is very glamorous and certainly worth a visit. I know we say that all the time, but
I think if you're like for younger people,
Sure.
Whether it be singles or young couples, the nightlife, and not that we actually did that, but it's
There's a lot
it's
going
what
on.
it's famous for. So
Alrighty, well, let's finish up with Lyle. Where was your favourite place to have a glass of wine?
Good question.
That is a good question. It's not like you didn't know it was coming.
No, that's true. Oh, mate.
All right, while he's thinking, look, I've got a few, but I am going to say my favourite place to have a glass of wine was at in Ochen at the Hotel Mondo with Janet and Michael. So,
Good call.
yeah,
I was thinking that too, because that was so nice.
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But the second one?
Well, I was going to say having dinner with them that night.
Yeah.
Maybe. Look, I think probably Ronda.
Yeah, you'd have to say Ronda or Puerto Banus.
Yeah, because the
Ronda.
views in Ronda, like the over the bridge and
Or just the atmosphere
just-
of where we had that lunch.
yeah,
So-
it was pretty special.
Yeah, okay. And I thought I might ask you a quick quiz question. Seeing we're in Marbella, it'll be easy.
Well, I
Can
didn't
you-
know how many metres above sea level
You
it
did.
was.
But can you tell me 3 Spanish cities starting with the letter S?
Seville,
Right?
Santander,
Yeah.
Salamanca,
Salamanca. What about 3 Spanish cities starting with the letter A?
Almeria,
Yes.
Almaneca.
That's an easy one. Oh. It's hard when you have to think on the spot.
Almeria.
Think Santa
Almaneca.
Barbara.
Oh, the one that you got to be careful how you say it.
that one.
Alicante.
That's it. Yeah, good job. I've got a few more, but I might keep them for another episode. You got any jokes for us?
Not that you'll let me tell.
All right. Well, that's the end of our podcast on Marbella. As I said, please take the time to go and have a look at our Instagram and scroll across the story highlights to Marbella. Our website will have all the show notes and pictures that goes with this episode at beachtravelwine.com. And look, I know that Lyle and I listen to a lot of podcasts, and people are always saying, it really helps us if you rate and review. And, I never did it until I started my own podcast because, you're out doing stuff and you just don't think to do it. And so I've started doing it because, I know how much it means to podcasters to do it. So, if you have a chance to do that for us on Apple or Spotify or any of the podcast apps you're listening on, give us a rating and a review. It does help us be found and shown to other people that might be interested in a travel podcast. See or no?
Sí.
All right. Hasta luego.
Yes, hasta luego.